Welcome to another $1 Masterclass with me, Clay. Today we're looking at this progression. So I would call that a 2-5, as in a 2-5-1. And it's the first two chords of a 3-chord sequence. We don't need to worry about that right now. What we're going to do in this video, as we do with all these tutorial videos, is we start by just looking at the shapes and how we find those shapes. If you want to go further, there's more information later in the video, but you can just watch the beginning and get up to speed and find these shapes and use them in your music or play along to tunes that you like. Without covering any of the theory. So in all these tutorials, the first part is just basically showing you the nuts and bolts of the shapes and the sound and how we find it in the quickest possible way. Then later we go into the detail of what it is and why it works, and you can choose whether you want to watch that or not. Okay, so first of all, our two chords, it's a minor 7 and a dominant 7. Again, we go into that later. Most important thing is the shapes. So let's have a look at the first chord. So the first chord we've got is, we're going to start here on A minor. So we're going to do this A minor chord. And then it goes to a D7 chord. And we actually have some extra notes in there, like a 9 and a 13. Again, we cover all that later. All we're going to focus on now is the shape. So let's look at the left hand first. What the left hand's doing is it's playing A, and then it's dropping down to D, down here. Now, the best way to find the gap, how big the gap needs to be, is to count. And we count the first note and the last note and every note in between. And that gives us a total of, if we count A as 1, that's our starting note, D is our final note. Okay, so from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the gap. Now it doesn't matter where on the keyboard we play this chord sequence. That gap is always going to be the same. If we did it up here, let's say we're going to do it on D minor. Same gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the gap. Okay, let's come back to A then. So we've got our bass notes. That's what our left hand's going to do. Now, our right hand, we need to find this A minor chord. So, best way to do that is to first of all start with the simplest A minor chord we can, which is this. Okay, so there's no frills there. Doesn't really sound how we want it to sound yet, but it's an A minor chord. Okay, so how do we find an A minor chord? Okay, so first of all we're going to take A. Same note as our left hand's playing down here. Now we're going to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we count the note we start on, the note we finish on, and all the notes in between. So note we start on is A, note we finish on is C. It's actually a minor third. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's our middle note there. Now we need one more note on the top. So we're now going to count up 5. 1, remember the note that we start on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. That's our A minor chord. That's the basic A minor triad. Triad in 3, obviously. There it is. Okay, so it's not sounding how we want it yet. What we want to do now is we're going to take this A here. We've already got that down the bottom here. So we're going to drop our thumb we're going to count down 3. So remember, note we start on, note we finish on, all the notes in between. So if we count down 3 from A, that's 1, 2, 3. There. Okay, that's sounding how we want now, nearly. We're going to add a little cluster in the middle in a minute. Okay, so I was just putting in some little bass fills there. We'll look at that in a separate tutorial. Okay, so here we are. Now we want to add a little crunch in the middle. This nice little... It's nice, gives it a little kind of... little crunchiness. So the way we find that note is, here's our shape that we've got now. And we're going to add one note directly below the middle note. So here we'd count 2. 1, 2. Note we start on, note we finish on. There are no notes in the middle, so that's 2. So we count down 2. There we are. Okay. This is our first chord. Now there's only 2 chords in this sequence, and then they kind of move up or down and do the same thing. So the second chord, remember we've got D in the left hand here. Now what happens is these 3 notes all stay where they are. Nothing happens there. They just stay where they are. And all that happens is this thumb drops down. You might need to move your hand further into the keyboard here, because you can see the thumb is shorter, needs to reach this note. So the thumb's going to go down to the note directly below it. So 1, 2. 1, 2. That's all that changes in the right hand. It goes from here to here. Just this note. And all that changes in the left hand is we go, and that gives us this. Okay, in the next video we'll look at what's actually happening and the theory behind it and why it works. But for now, that's all you need to know to find these 2 chords. And as you know, if you like rare groove or funk or soul or anything like that, these chords appear all the time and they just move around. So if we move that up, let's move that up to, I'm going to start on C minor. So first of all, I'm going to take my C. Now I want to go down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my bass notes. Okay, that's the left hand done. Right hand, I want a C chord. So here's my C. I'm going to go up 4. Remember, count the first note, the last note, and all the notes in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my middle note. Now I'm going to go up another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. Drop my thumb. I'm going to count 3. 1, 2, 3. Add a cluster in the middle. 2 down from here. 1, 2. There. So you can see, we can really have some fun with these chords. We don't need to know any theory if we don't want to. See you in the next video if you want to know the theory. Thanks for watching.